Here.
Roy is here, and Dick is here. All right, the first thing I would like to do, I see a familiar name on here, and it is Michelle Vasquez. And we owe her, or at least I do, a lot of credit for all the work she has done for 13 years for this finance committee. She has served as clerk, vice chair, chair, and simple member. And she's done it for 13 years and led us in the bond issue with the new school. I see you're here, Michelle, and I would like you to know how much I appreciate what you've done, and I feel that the whole town does too. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Dick. It's been a pleasure serving you. Congratulations to all, to Emily and to Roy, and to all the members of the Senate. Thank you.
Kind of hard to hear you, but go ahead. Anyone else who would like to speak, go ahead.
Yeah, Dick, may I, if I interject here, please, this is Stan. Michelle, we'll miss you. I know the work you've done. I know your dedication. I know your expertise. You're going to be greatly missed. And thank you, first and foremost.
I agree. Thank you, Michelle. We're going to miss you.
And I concur.
Now, that having been said and heartfelt from all of us, I'd like to welcome Roy Rizak to the committee. I have worked with Roy on another committee, and I think he will be, I'm certain he will be a highly contributing member, and I welcome him to the staff. Welcome, Roy.
Thank you, Dick. Glad to be here.
Right. Now, let us move on. And our first order of business, since we are an elected group, is to reorganize ourselves. And let's start with chairman. I would like to say, if anyone out there wants any of these positions, please feel free to nominate yourself.
Mr. Chairman?
I'll now accept nominations for the chair of the Finance Committee.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Stan.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to see if Mr. Trussell will continue his very good job in leading this operation. I would so move to appoint Dick Trussell as our chairperson.
Second.
We have a second. Who seconded that?
That was Roy.
Roy. All right. Are there any other nominations? Not hearing any. Is there any discussion on the appointment of Russell to the chair? If not, let us vote. I'll call the roll again. Jocelyn?
I vote yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Roy?
Yes.
And I will accept that. Thank you very much, all. I appreciate that. Let's see if we can keep going. Now we have vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Jocelyn to continue vice chair.
I second if you need a second.
Yes. Okay. Are there any other nominations? Then not hearing any discussion. Not hearing any. Let's move to a vote. Jocelyn.
Yes, I would accept.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. Emily.
Yes.
Stan.
Yes, thank you, Jocelyn.
And Roy.
Yes.
And Dick, yes. 2 out of 3 so far. Accept nominations for clerk.
I'll nominate Roy because I think Stan said he didn't want it, but if Stan wants it, then I can nominate both of them.
Thank you, Emily. I decline to Roy.
And Emily, you're declining too?
I would like to decline, yes.
Could
I
I,
need a second on Roy's nomination.
I'll second that.
could I just ask for clarification on the role of clerk here on the Finance Committee? You do have an automated minute taker, is that correct?
That's
Yes,
correct.
you would be doing the agendas.
Ah, okay. Fine, thank you.
You're doing the agenda in cooperation with every member, but with myself and certainly with Cheryl too.
Sure, okay.
Did I
Then I'd
hear
be
a
willing to
second?
accept.
I can't recall if I heard a second on that.
I believe I offered that up, Dick.
Okay. Any discussion? Not hearing any, we'll go to the roll call. Jocelyn,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Roy,
Yes,
and Dick, yes. Doesn't take long, Roy, before they get you involved, does it, huh?
right.
Jocelyn, just let us know when you leave so we can mark it on the minutes, all right?
Okay, I will.
But I hope we have accomplished the things that need to be accomplished for your participation. Thank you. The next thing is, change it a little bit, is approval of minutes. I have a problem with that. I don't have any minutes to review. Did anyone else receive copies?
I've sent them a few times, but I did resend them today. There's 3 meeting minutes from October, January, and March.
All right,
And I sent them to the whole committee as well as to you.
well, it's to me. Okay.
So I sent it twice to you.
I'm going to have to not, I have not reviewed them myself, so, because I didn't see them. But,
I didn't see them either, Dick.
pardon,
I didn't see them either in my email.
then we have a quorum. If 3 people did, well, Roy's not eligible, so we
Right.
don't
Right.
have enough votes to take this up as a subject matter. We will make it a subject matter for the next meeting. There's no way
I
we
sent
can
them
pass
out,
this
just so
with
you
only
know,
2
they went-
voters.
Oops, excuse me.
I'm
They
sorry,
went
Dick.
out at 11:11 this morning.
Yeah, I did receive them sometime today. I do have the one for October, but one's not enough, obviously.
All right, well, we will make this the first agenda item on the next meeting. And Cheryl, I apologize. I must have missed them somehow. It's my fault.
okay.
not yours. I see Kate here. I'm not sure that's good news for the Neshoba people, huh? All right. Now,
They're playing tomorrow, Dick.
oh.
Good news, they're playing
so-
tomorrow. It's the state round of 32 that is 16, 8, and 4. So
Wonderful.
Neshoba is the 7th seed in the state for Division 3, and we're playing the 24th seed. So we're ever hopeful.
Good for you. Good. Well, I want to welcome you here because all the other emails said, please don't come. In hopes that you would be at a Neshoba game. All right,
Tomorrow,
let's
I will
move
be
on
there
to
tomorrow.
Let's move on to those things. I mentioned that I'd worked with Roy previously. Roy has been chairman of the Tax Fairness Committee. He's done an outstanding job in my estimation. However, as a member of the Finance Committee, in theory, he cannot hold that job on the Tax Fairness Committee, because I am the Finance Committee appointment to it. So therefore, I have resigned from the Tax Fairness Committee in hopes, I shouldn't say it that way, in anticipation that perhaps we will appoint Roy as the Finance Committee representative to the Tax Fairness Committee. Does everyone understand why that's happening? We can't have two Finance Committee members on the Tax Fairness Committee. So I am resigning. I've already resigned. And I would like a nomination, or I will even make the nomination for Roy Rizak to replace me as the Finance Committee representative to the Tax Fairness Committee. I'll need a second to that motion.
I'll
Second that.
second.
Oh, let's go ahead, Jocelyn. I'm sorry, Jocelyn.
I'll second.
Who was that up?
Jocelyn.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Is there anything that I said that's confusing you about that?
No.
Okay. Then is there any other discussion? Not hearing any, let us go to a vote. Jocelyn, if you're still with us,
Yes, I vote yes.
okay. Emily,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes,
Roy,
Yes,
and I vote yes too. Thank you all. That uncomplicates a messy situation. Thank you. Our next thing is that with the loss of Michelle, we do not have a working representative to the new high school bond committee. Now, Stan was a backup to Michelle. But we need to appoint someone and make all the necessary paper adjustments. Is there, Stan, are you still willing to serve in that, or step up and serve as number one in that situation?
well, it's been such a toll on me so far, but yeah, I guess I'll offer my name, and I'm very happy to let someone else step ahead of me if they so desire.
Well, I think we ought to have a reserve member, as we've had before, so that we're always represented. Let me go back. I have all the information, or I have enough information from Michelle as to who to contact and how to do it. And so that can be taken care of. First of all, if Stan's willing to go, he's already approved and is simply moving up to number one. I would like a nomination for backup or assistant to Stan.
What does the assistant do? Like, I don't mind being the backup,
Well,
but,
they keep informed. They need not really attend them if they're certainly welcome to,
okay,
but they need not attend the meeting, but they need to keep themselves informed. So in case there is a meeting that Stan cannot attend, that they can go there as an informed person.
okay. I don't mind being the backup if nobody else would wants to.
And that's Jocelyn.
Yes,
Okay, I need a second on that.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. So Jocelyn has stepped forward on her own and has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any, I'd like to take a vote for Jocelyn as backup on our bond committee. Go down the list. Jocelyn,
yes,
Emily,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes,
Roy,
yes,
and I vote for it too. Jocelyn and Stan, I will get to you the information I have, and then I will also notify the Neshoba Regional and those involved of the appointment.
Mr. Chairman, a question, please.
Yes, certainly.
Do I need to be formally voted on to number one, or are we just,
No, because you were formally voted on
Okay,
previously. Well, if you would feel safe for being voted on, I'm not opposed to a vote, but you were voted into it previously and are
Okay.
merely doing what you were voted to do. Would
I'm
you
very
like a
happy to
vote?
be quiet. No, I'm happy. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have a aspect on that whole situation that they would like to question? Not hearing any, then we'll move on. Next is the town administrator. And Kate has a rather lengthy 77-page item to go over with us, but I'm sure it won't be page by page. Kate, would you like to take the floor, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the town of Lancaster has several iterations of different policy manuals. Some have not been looked at, I think, since they were drafted. Others may have been looked at, but not formally amended. And so one of my goals with Cheryl before she retires, even though we're convincing her every day not to do such a thing, would be to solidify the policies and procedures of the finance department. And last year, we established which departments envelop which divisions. And so finance has the departments of assessing, treasury, collectors, accounting, accounts payable, and payroll, effectively. And so what you have is a draft of that. Now I know that Cheryl, because I went into her office the other day and she had my favorite thing, which is it all printed out with tags and all kinds of inserts in it. But what I was looking for was simply to give the initial draft to you all, understanding that there are things that are missing, and to gauge from you all what it is that you think should be a policy and procedure for the finance department or the finance committee or both that we haven't represented there. And then over time, I think it would be helpful to get everybody else's corrections, additions, thoughts on what's there. But I think initially what I think would be helpful is what are we missing that you think would be very helpful, if not, sort of a requirement to have an outline for. And I preface that with, we realize that we need a procedure for CPA.
Okay, I was going to say that. Thank you.
Yep. So, so we are working on that, but other than that, are there any other procedures, policies, anything else that you would like to see of a financial nature that we could at least submit a draft to you all to review?
At this point, I'm not sure there are, but I will make that an agenda item, Cheryl, if we could, for next time, to make sure we have an answer, because we've been asked for an answer. I do have a question, Kate.
Yes.
This is quite a lengthy thing. It took a lot of thought and welcome to it, but is it based on other towns or is it all written from scratch?
No, it's based on the past practices for both of the Municipal Finance Managers Association and then the Government Finance Association. So, but Cheryl and I did draft quite a bit of it from scratch. And what we had sent you and the things that are highlighted are things that, generally speaking, are what are considered best practices, but each town, each city, each community is their own. And so sort of it was up for debate. And I know Cheryl has made recommendations on that, because a lot of things say 4 weeks, but we do every 2 weeks. So those kind of things will change. But I was kind of looking for some feedback, not today, but when you're ready on the meat and potatoes of all of that.
What conditions have you made for an audit?
What condition? So an audit is required by Mass General Law.
Right,
So so basically we just adhere to that. Should we be
Okay,
spelling, do
okay,
you think we
that's-
should
that's
spell
fine.
that out? I mean, we can say the town will administer audits consistent with and quote the MGL. That's actually probably a really good idea.
well, I think that would be an important statement to make. It's an assurance to people.
Write it down. Keep them coming.
Well, there are others, but I would like others to review this and, at next meeting, we definitely have got to have an answer for it because this is important to the town. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to any of these items right now?
This is Roy, Dick.
Yes, Roy.
Just a couple of quick, very brief comments, having looked briefly at the document, okay? And just a couple of questions and maybe suggestions for additional policies. First of all, just as a question, Kate, I noticed that as I was starting to read this, you said in the general ethics policy, you said to state the town's expectations surrounding ethics, etc. My question here, and it's just a question to think about, is the word expectations seems kind of a low level requirement there. I was thinking of, do we want a stronger word like requirements, or I'm not sure what other word to put in there, but something that states this is what we expect the employees and people on boards to follow, okay, that we are requiring them to follow. And it's not just an expectation, it is a requirement. So that is one thought. Think about whether or not you want to change that word to be a stronger word. Two other quick thoughts around policies, and forgive me if I missed it somewhere in the 71 pages. But I was wondering if we should have a policy for the amount of free cash that Finance Committee and the town target to have on hand to handle, unexpected things and various issues, as well as a target for the stabilization account, maybe building off of the Mass Department of Revenue suggestions for percentage of budget in those two areas. And then finally, one other quick comment. I notice you have closing processes listed in there for monthly and yearly. A suggestion, I have found that quarterly is a very helpful set of data to give to a reviewing committee like the Finance Committee, because things are more stable at quarter boundaries than they are at monthly boundaries, and that at quarter boundaries we can do a little bit better year-to-year comparison. So those are a couple suggestions. Questions, thoughts?
Mr. Chair, may I, those are great, thank you. So expectations to requirements, I hear you. The problem is that for the town to have a requirement, the town would have to have a sanction for not meeting said requirement. And while we do for paid staff, it's the Ethics Commission that has it for volunteers, committee members, etc. So while I'm happy to change it, I don't know whether changing it and then having a footnote to say effectively that if you are an appointed member or an elected member of a board or committee, that duty falls on the State Ethics Commission. And I'll tell you an example. It's because lots of people say, so-and-so didn't do something properly. If the person is an elected official, there's no recourse for removing that person short of a recall, which can be very destabilizing. So to say that the expectation is one thing, the requirement almost to me would mean like there is an avenue that we could take should you not meet that expectation threshold. And perhaps that's the minutia, but that was why we chose that word, which is absolutely open for debate. The free cash and stabilization, so the document that you're looking at are like policies and procedures for the workings of the finance department. So if we want to get into sort of the thresholds that are town-wide, we can add that into here. It would be a whole nother chapter, and I think it wouldn't be just related to that. So I agree with you, Roy, if we want to put that in, but just know that that would not be the only two things in that chapter, I guess.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it would be a discussion by the finance committee to
I
decide.
think so, just if you wanted to have it all, and I agree that for ease of operation, having sort of one-stop shopping, but
Mhm.
the document that you're looking at are really the roles and policies that we are holding the staff, most importantly, to as far as turnovers, et cetera. But I think we could add another section if this committee thinks that that's probably the best way to go, and I'm happy with that. And then the closing procedures, agreed quarterly, and we will make those changes for the group. Thank you for taking the time, Roy.
Would Kate expect is definitive? Do you consider full with the expectation of as definitive as expect?
I think so, and I know what just getting
Just
back
the
to
use
Roy's.
of the word in any of its forms could be divisive, I guess. Okay.
I think so. And I think if we put the footnote in there that says, based on the position that you hold in the town, there are different entities that judge whether you've met the expectation or not. Perhaps
Okay.
it's as simple as that.
Okay. I was just trying to find a middle ground between the two words, but if that doesn't work, it doesn't work. Simple as that. Are there any other anyone else like to make a comment on this?
I don't, Dick, but I do have to go.
Okay, thank you, Jocelyn, for coming.
Thank you,
See
and
you next
welcome,
meeting.
welcome aboard, Roy.
Okay.
Thank you.
I see Jocelyn's still there. All right. There were no more comments in this, as I understand. So let us move on to, is there anything else you would like to say on it, Kate?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, if you'll stay there, Kate, was the next person is Stan, and I think you would like to ask you a question about, or ask us all a question about the town's electric rate. Stan, you're up.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was I supposed to ask?
You had indicated that there was a lower rate out there, around 11 cents or 10 cents.
Oh,
Well,
okay, I'm sorry. We're talking about the, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were referencing the power supplier that the town has
Yeah.
versus the one that I've receded about a year ago when rates went up to a mere, I believe it was 25 cents per in March of 2023. And I ended up doing a search online myself because at the time I think the town didn't have one in the aggregation as opposed to the aggravation. So I went on my own, got something done at a community power supply, and I'm still paying 11 cents per, but this is for the operating cost of your home, this specifically the supplier. And I was curious thereafter, and I think either Kate or I forget who sent me the information that in fact we do have one. However, I think their rates were 15 cents. So I'm just curious of how frequently, what's the duration of that particular program is. If Dummy here can go out and get it for 30% less, who's watching the store? Are we committing to long term? We're worrying about going into the winter. I mean, all the background of what that's remaining. I just thought potentially we might be able to do better for the citizens of this community. So I don't know the mechanics. I do know what the town rate is. I do know what I'm paying, and is about a 30% difference in the specifically the supplier cost.
Kate, would you like to bring us up to date as?
Sure. So you're absolutely correct, Stan, and we've heard this from other people. So every 3 years, the town goes out to bid for a municipal aggregation rate. And our bids are only as good as the companies who wish to send us a proposal for an aggregation rate. And so last year, we went out and 2 of the companies that we have heard from who are supplying in town did not respond to our request for proposals. One of them we had the ability to talk to, who said that they don't deal in municipal aggregation programs because the rates fluctuate so much that they end up being able to get customers one-on-one rather than going through an aggregation program. The other one didn't respond to our questions. So one of the things that I talked about last year at the select board level is this program as worthwhile as it was years ago when it was enacted? Because just like bidding a project, you could have a project that's done in, you could bid a project in Lancaster and have it done in Clinton for half as much by, company X. But if company X doesn't bid on Lancaster's project, then we are stuck with making a decision on the companies A, B, and C that did bid on the project. And so that's sort of where we are with the aggregation rate. My hope is that the select board, so this year wouldn't be the year, it would be next year that we would start getting another RFP out. So the select board, finance committee, whomever it is that they want to have on this would develop a task force to decide before we commit to another 3 years of an aggregation program, whether it's really worthwhile. This past 3-year stint, the last year of the former 3-year contract and now the first 2 years of this one have had the same success that you have, whereas the private homeowner is able to get a better rate than the town's aggregation program. So that says to me that it isn't having the intended benefits that it was supposed to. That doesn't mean it won't in a year from now, but we have to weigh our options as a town.
Kate, how many active users are there of that program? How many are in the Lancaster aggregation?
Ooh, I do not know, because a lot of people, excuse me, come on and off. I think when we were going through the bidding process, we said it was up to 2,500 users, which could be a household. But I can get you a better number when I get the quarterly report, which is due actually on June 30th.
How does that equate to the voter registration, which is right around 5,000? Do you have a feel for that?
It's probably, well, see, because that's people and we're talking households. So I'd have to probably do the math on that. I don't want to
Yeah,
compare.
that's
apples
okay.
to
I'm just trying to get a
oranges.
ballpark. It seems like a pretty good percentage, though.
I think it's more, it was, when we bid it out, it was more than a third, but less than half.
Okay, I would have thought it'd be closer to sound like half, but I don't know. I'm just conjecturing. So it's
There's
3 years.
also, there's also a great deal, there's more and more people that are coming on with solar, which is a whole nother thing because it kind of takes you into another category.
Yeah. One other thing, Kate, this is just dreaming, and I say that in advance. I had a conversation this morning with a Sterling municipal plant employee. I think he's a manager out there. And I just asked him the same question. What's the rate you're charging your local customers? It's 6.5%. 6.5, and I started a little bit of cheer on that one. All in 15 cents, everything, front and back of your bill, supplier, the company itself. So they get municipal, Hudson has a municipal, West Boylston has a municipal. There's about 5 or 6 of them, we said, in the area. I asked when I was on the select board as to what the possibilities might be to ever join up one of the local towns that are already in the business. We have some activity, as I understand it, with Sterling in terms of repairs of streetlights we own.
Correct.
But I guess it's not as simple as saying, we'd love to join you. What do we got to do?
Yeah.
Because it takes literally an act of the legislator maybe for that.
And they have to have the bandwidth, pardon the pun, to be able to withstand. So, you know, I live in a part of Stowe that benefits from Hudson Light and Power. And obviously, as folks know, I was a resident of Lancaster. I was shocked at my electric rate for a home that was larger in a neighboring community because we had Hudson Light and Power, and the community that I came from had its own light and power and broadband. And so the internet too there. So I think they're doing a lot of state pull to have municipal broadband and electricity come to a lot of communities. And I think you're going to see, similar to, you know, about a decade ago when they were trying to regionalize public safety dispatch, I think you're going to see a lot of incentive to regionalize power supply, particularly as, you know, some of the communities have larger solar fields than others. So I've been really looking at that with interest, because I think if we have the ability to join on with some of our neighbors, that would be really lucrative.
Yeah, it's too common sense, so it probably won't work.
Indeed.
No, I mean, it's unfortunate because, well, that's it. I just wanted to know. Thank you for the input. I didn't realize people don't care enough to give us, even giving us a bid, let alone ongoing, but it is what it is. And maybe one of these days, someone we could join forces with and benefit, everyone can benefit. That's
I
all.
agree.
End of
I
story.
agree.
Thank you.
So through what calendar year are we committed to the 15 cents? Okay,
2026, but it would be halfway through 2026.
okay. Say it one more time, please.
Cheryl, did you just unmute? Am I wrong? Is it not 2026 halfway through?
So June 26th, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, in the year 26, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You said calendar year, so I was
Yeah,
saying
because
26 is the
fiscal year
calendar year, and even
confuses
though in my
everything.
head it's fiscal, yeah. So
All right, is there anyone else who would like to speak on this? If
Just a
there's
quick,
anyone listening, and I don't see anyone, but that has a physical problem or an age problem, I can tell you that a phone call to them will get you a 32% discount off your electric rate only, because that's what I was able to achieve. So if, because of a medical problem, this is not for everybody, this is only specific, but if you've got a specific need or problem, call them, they're willing to help you.
Good
Any
point.
other comments?
That's a good point, Dick.
right, this is Roy, just one other quick comment. I agree, Kate, that the issue of solar is an important factor when negotiating with these companies. I understand that Harvard has been able to get a contract. I don't know who the supplier is. I don't know how they had it bid, but I have heard third hand that they have a better rate than we do, and they have a higher percentage of solar generation. And I would just add that as you commented relative to more and more people in town have solar on their homes, the ability to do what's called net metering is also important when we look at the contract next time, to be able to support people who already have solar.
So, you know, we bid that out and we didn't get any of the contracts to bid on any of them net metering.
Interesting.
Now, whether or not we didn't sweeten the deal enough, I don't know, but I think it comes down to, from, I guess, a purely economic standpoint, is, do they have the number of customers that they can charge that would substantiate giving a discount of whatever amount they're going to give?
Yeah, right. And understand, I hear you if you're putting it out to bid, and, you know, as Stan said, if we're not getting responses, then I would agree with Stan. Can we team with other towns around here somehow?
Agreed. Yeah.
You know, to partner, to get someone else to bid, or be wonderful if Sterling could ramp up their generation capability to supply part or all of Lancaster, but I think that's probably a pretty tall order.
A very long extension cord.
Long as it comes to my house. Thank you all. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment on this? And thank you to Stan and to Kate for bringing this issue out and getting a better explanation. So when we're questioned about it, we can answer correctly. Thank you. Anything else? If not, let's move on to the next subject, which is with Cheryl with a report on the fiscal year 24 year-to-date situation. Go slowly because I'm writing numbers down, Cheryl.
Did you all receive the spreadsheets I sent out this afternoon?
No,
Oh, Kate, did you get yours? I sent you, were CC'd with it.
Sorry, I
Well,
was muted, so I'm talking away. Yes, I got mine.
Okay. So maybe your group goes out as finance committee. So maybe you need to check your junk mail to see if it's being put in junk mail.
I think so. Boy, I gotta look. What does 27203 mean? And then I see 12/7/2023.
Okay. The column dated 2/7/2023 is when we set the estimated budget
Right.
that we did our budget off of for town meeting. 12/7/23 is the date we did the recap through the DOR. And those numbers are the actual real estate and personal property levy numbers and the estimated receipts. So what I tried to show you here is under the 2/7/23 column, if I scroll to the end, this number here, 26, total general fund revenue, 26,116,424. That is the number that is on your budget summary from when we went to town meeting. 24, right here.
So that's what adopted means, okay.
Yeah. And then similarly, if you go to your estimated revenues on that sheet are 2,039,000, and it ties back to your summary sheet, excuse me, 2,039,813. 1,386 are your state aid. Sorry. Which is down the bottom, 1386, sorry. And then your estimated receipt, I'm sorry. The change comes with your real estate and personal property. I had 22,690,907. And when I got to doing the recap, it was obviously higher, the 23,299,883. And the reason is that is when the 1,000,002 gets recorded from the override.
How often, if I may stop you right there, how often do your estimates meet the actual?
In
I
real
mean,
estate, never.
when you do the levy, et cetera, you're estimating in there
Correct.
growth,
No.
et cetera.
The estimated real estate and personal property is never an actual to the recap. It's generally lower because I don't know what the number is for new growth that might come in. I guess I can round it to 200, 300, but it's generally, 389, 516. Yeah, I don't know that numbers.
All right, is this possibly a reason why? And I don't want to overstate it, that there is generally a surplus in the budget?
Well, no,
Because we may be
Right.
underestimating income.
right here, this is, this line here. This is your total revenue for 24. We estimated 26,116, brought in 25,870. As of May 20th, we're at a deficit of 245,605 for what we estimated.
Right.
If I continue across, the new number is 27,355 once the recap is done. We are now at a deficit of 1,484,339.
Wait a minute, that one I don't understand.
So
You're saying that what we
The re-
approved at town meeting has put us in a position where we're increased our debt by a,
no, this
By
isn't debt, this is
200,000?
revenue. This, you're looking at the total revenue collections compared to our estimate and compared to what was the total on the recap when all the valuations were put into play and the new growth and the override.
doesn't that show that we're gonna get more income than we thought?
There it is, 1,238,000, yes.
So how does that
And what
make
this
us a
deficit
negative
is telling,
$1,400,000?
what this deficit is telling you is, as of May 20th, we have not yet collected 1,434,000. So I
Not
expect we're
yet
going to have,
collected, okay, all right, that's entirely different than the debt service, just had not yet collected that amount, okay. I've got it now,
okay, but that's only for the real estate portion.
right,
So there are many others on both what we estimated and on the recap. As you can see, the reds are under collected.
okay, that's a
So-
collection column, all right.
Right.
How is that column entitled?
In total,
Entitled.
Variance.
Variance. So in other words, not yet collected is variance.
correct.
All right. Speaking, I'd like to, I want to go one step further with you.
Yeah.
If I may. Under the old budgets methodology, and praise the Lord, we're no longer doing it, but there were parts of it that were very good. And those parts were what were down the bottom. And they were called estimated receipts, other funds, debt schedule, and free cash. We don't see those anymore. Can you make those available to us in the format that they were before? Because, for instance, the free cash, we see what it was spent on and how much was rejuvenated net after approval on
Sure.
July 1. I'd really like those 4 categories to be presented to us with the budget, because I often look at them to substantiate budget items.
Okay.
All right.
You want the estimated receipts?
I see you've got them down, some things down the bottom. Is that where they'll go?
There are, yes, they're on this sheet, the estimated receipts, the state aid, and the real and personal.
All right. Okay, well, this is good now. This is nice. But how does this compare to 2023?
Okay, so for the total, right now at May 20th, compared to the recap, we are at 94.57% collected. So let me see if I can get the other sheet. 23. Revenues. So again, the same, this year we did the estimated a year ago in December, and then a year later, we did the recap. The variance is more typical of a non-override year. We had 21,942,000 for real estate for 23, and the recap came out at 21,419,410, so it came out a little less. But when you get to the bottom, this is through May 20th also. Last year, we were 79.97% collected. And this
Wow,
year,
that's a tremendous
it's
difference.
94.57.
How come we
Yes,
are
it
more
is.
collected this year than last year? Did you have any idea why?
No,
Is it by date you measured it?
no,
December and 1 May, and 1 April? I'm trying
I'm
to
sorry,
see
did I
what
measure?
the correlation is between 23 that can be expected, not used as
I'm
figures,
sorry,
but
I'm
be
sorry,
expected
this is,
in 24.
that was my error. That 79% is for the state aid.
Yeah,
The total, wait. Where's my total? Here it is. Much better, 99.39.
okay. So we're doing about what we did a year ago.
Yeah, we're 94.57 now and 99.39 a year ago.
And that's on income, right?
Yes,
Now, what about expenses? Comparison of the two.
so this is fiscal 23 through May 20th. And we have remaining 1,699,180
Yeah,
as of May 20th of 23.
or 96% of the approved adopted amount at town meeting.
96% has been expended, yes.
Okay. And this year,
And-
at this point,
For 24, we're at 1,888,000 and we are 93.08 expended.
okay, now, obviously, collections are running behind by about 300,000, if I heard you correctly.
Yes,
Are there any explanations that come to mind as to why? I know you mentioned to me that excise tax possibly is down.
excise is down just on the fact that in Lancaster, it's been unusually high for the past several years. So I think it peaked 2 years ago and it's been going down since. I had lowered my guess for excise to 1,000,001 and I probably should have gone to 1,000,000.
Okay, how about meal taxes? See, this is why I wanted to see the other funds and estimated receipts categories. So that was,
Well, there's different, last year for pilot money, we received 23,000 from the state for the prison. Where are we? This line.
right,
I estimate 12,000 because you can't budget the money coming from the state for the prison because they won't guarantee you're going to get it. And this is an example of why. Last year, we got 23,000 and 12,000 came from 10 from RFK and 2 from I can't remember where it was coming from, I'm sorry.
But as a, for instance, years before that, it used to be up in the 80,000, wasn't it?
Correct.
Well,
Correct.
I think you and I have had this discussion before that,
So this year, I have no explanation as to why. But this year, we've collected 102,000. And we received 90, I think it was 93,000 for the prison mitigation. And last year it was 23.
well, you have sent these figures out and that it'll
So-
take some study, but thank you very much for sending these figures out. I'm gonna have to look at my
Sure.
other mail thing to see why I didn't
Yes.
receive them. But
Yes.
thank you for doing that. And if you could send whatever
I'll send
exists
it again.
on estimated receipts and, you know, other funds, et cetera, I'd really like to see that too. In fact, I think everyone on the committee should see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. Now I've done a
if
lot
you
of
would-
talking. Anyone
if you
else
would
on the
have
committee like
patience
to
to listen-
discuss this?
Do you have patience to see one more spreadsheet?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Do you have patience to look at one more spreadsheet?
Oh, yes, I would love to.
So since free cash is a hot topic lately, I decided to do free cash as if the books closed today. And to do that, I take last year's, the ending fund balance from fiscal 23, it should be changed. And then I add back in the money that was encumbered. I subtract out the free cash vote we just did 2 weeks ago or a week ago. And that's our new fund balance, 2,215,000.
What is a fund balance? That's not
Your
free
fund
cash.
balance is your unassigned, unappropriated money.
And
And it's accumulation from the very first year the town closed its books. So
so what is that? Is that a balance in our
It's-
bank account, not encumbered to anybody? We've got that amount of money?
right. Right. And you always have it. The bulk of that money,
What balance do you feel comfortable with at that point?
Right. Mhm.
you can't, you have no control over that number.
I
You can't-
realize, but if that number were $10, I wouldn't be very comfortable.
Oh geez, no. But
At what point are you feeling comfortable? Because I don't want to create a budget situation where we say we always got $2 million, so let's cut $1 million out of the budget.
You could never use this money in an appropriation because your levy limit would not allow you to use that much more money.
Precisely. But I know that you and I have discussed, Cheryl, that on the general category of free cash, we certainly don't like to get below 750,000, although at some points we've gone to 500,000.
That's
There are
on the
limits
free
in
cash
our
number.
mind that we want to attain.
This is not a free cash number. This is,
I realize that.
okay, yeah, free
I'm using
cash.
free cash as an example of, in our mind, we have this limit that we can accept, and below it, we get scared.
Mhm.
Yes, well, let me get there first. So
Okay.
this is on your balance sheet that the auditors put together, the DOR puts together, and I put together, and we all tie it out. So this is your fund balance from last year. I add back in the encumbrances. I minus out free cash vote that was just done. And that becomes the new fund balance.
Right.
To that, I add the revenues that I've collected to date, and I subtract out the expenditures paid to date.
Okay.
That now brings my fund balance to 3,233,000. So I take that fund balance. Now I have to take out any outstanding real estate and personal property bills. This was this year's number right now.
Well,
Then I have to take out any negative accounts in all the other special funds. And
could
as
you
you
go
can
back
see,
for a moment? Could you go back for a moment,
Sure.
please, to that real estate tax receivable?
yep,
What does that stand for?
those
For
are
people who have not yet paid,
correct.
and personal property is, taxes have not been paid to the tune of
Correct.
$87,000?
Correct.
What does that real estate tax receivable say to you? 1,453,000. What's that number been previously? Are we up, down, over, under?
It's a little up, not a lot. I've seen it higher. And I've seen it as low as 900 maybe 8.
What does that come to? Does that always stay at pretty much a balance, or is there a point where it gets made up and gets lower?
As people pay, it goes down.
Right, but do people pay, or are we always carrying pretty much the same
We're
balance?
always
that's been
we're
paid?
always carrying a deficit.
Always carrying deficit. All
Yeah.
right, I'm sorry, move on.
No, that's fine.
That one just struck me hard, 1,400,000. So,
Well, what will happen is this stays on the books for 3 years, and then the treasurer will move it to tax lien. So it will come out of here and go into a different account, and this amount will go down, but it will build up again as people don't pay.
okay, I know that this is there for a reason, but if you budgeted, we would get in $20 million in real estate tax. We're really only gonna get in 19,500,000
Correct.
because the people didn't pay. Although it's carryover from previous years too, I imagine so.
Yep.
But anyhow, that's a significant number.
Yes. Yes.
That's 5%. Am I
So-
right? Yeah,
Mm,
27,
yep, yep.
13, 5%.
Yep.
All right, I'm
that-
sorry. Please go
That's
ahead.
okay. That comes from your fund balance. And then they subtract out all the negative balances from my special revenue accounts. Most of these negative balances are reimbursements for grants or for planning projects. And then the bottom grouping are for your employee withholdings, and it's a timing issue. So those total 138,000, and they're subtracted out. Then you add in your deferred revenue, which is a negative number. And this is our free cash if we were to close the books today.
Okay.
So the reason I want to show you this is when we spent all the free cash at town meeting, we said, and I even said it to you, so that leaves 642,000 in free cash, which is what is there for us to spend for this year. But without spending it, without doing anything, we're now down to 415,000 because these numbers all affect your free cash.
So when you send out a free cash, the ones I'm asking for, free cash recap, that's not actually correct as to how much free cash is available because it does not reflect these negative balances. So if we had 1 million free cash and we spent 200,000 on, let's say, OPB,
Yeah,
it would look like we had $800,000 still left.
correct.
That's what,
That's not necessarily true. Correct.
that's scary too. So how do we determine? We've got this free cash figure right now of 415, which is way under what you and I have agreed is
Right.
quote acceptable. what does a bonding company look at when they see this? And what does it do to our bonding rating?
A one-off year, it should be all right. Part of what's making our free cash so low is I have to subtract out from these balances the free cash appropriation we just did. So
Yeah.
come
Are they
July
looking at
1st,
$1,019,000 or are they looking at 415,000?
they're looking at both.
All
They
right,
will look at the whole picture,
okay.
and they will see there's $1.2 million in reserve. And that come next year, when we start the process again, I will be instead of subtracting that out, I will be adding it back in. So next year, you'll see a jump up again.
Is this thing saying that if we had not had the override of $1.2 million, we would have zero free cash in that negative free cash in that column? 1,199,000?
Let me think about that for a minute. Yeah,
I think the answer to that, I think the answer to that is yes. It would have, but
Yes, it
maybe
is.
not negative by that amount, but it would have been negative, yeah.
Yes,
Right.
Which is what we're struggling, Dick, to try to convey. Because everything that Cheryl just said, I mean, she and I have now sat together for a number of hours that Cheryl never wants to relive. Where
Never.
it's like, how do you explain what you know in your head, but you can't teach? Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Well, this is so enlightening because if you look at the fiscal year 23, it looks like we got $2 million extra. But the truth is
Right.
we don't. Once you add in all these other things, and I'm speaking specifically to Roy here, it
Yeah.
looks as though we got 415,000 and we needed $1.2 million just to have any free cash.
correct.
Roy, are you seeing this?
Yes, I am, Dick. And I'm clearly going to want to look at this to understand a little bit more and maybe have a conversation or two, because I didn't see the numbers earlier today.
Yeah.
Right. I hear your question and concern about the 415 as our ending spot for free cash, and understanding how we get to that, and maybe how we communicate it are, clearly key issues.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions on this? Stan or anyone? People maybe understand better than I do.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question? We have
Certainly, please.
all of these modes of technology, right? And so for the most part, I think as just government officials, we're stuck in spreadsheets and paragraphs of words after words after words. And in the last 2 years that I've done the presentations at the annual town meeting, I hear a lot of people say, oh, when I see it on the screen, it seems to make more sense. Now, what they're seeing on the screen, I'm supplementing with words. What about some type of video, which Cheryl is going to want to murder me in my sleep, but maybe it's just Cheryl's voice in the background, but some kind of video to go through what she just said. Because when you're listening to what Cheryl's saying and she's scrolling through and sort of pointing it out, is that more helpful or less helpful?
Well, to me, it's much more helpful and makes me ask all these stupid questions. But I wonder if that wouldn't also be more helpful to anyone who is genuinely interested. A casual observer is going to be confused, but I'm not opposed to the idea. What are the other members' thoughts? Stan, what do you think? You think people would understand?
I don't know, Dick. I gotta think about this more in detail than I've been able to capture here tonight, so I don't know.
All right, well,
I think it would be helpful.
good.
I think we're just struggling for a way to present it so that it doesn't sound like we're selling anybody a bill of goods, first of all. And so
Okay.
that people feel like, as a town, we're trying to present information to give them whatever it is that's the knowledge that they can use to decide how it is that what questions they want to ask, how they want to vote. And so what I keep hearing is all of this misinformation, but to correct it, it's the correction of the misinformation is only as good as the new information that you provide people that they can understand. And so it's not that people are stupid. If I went into, somebody else's job that I don't do, I would have absolutely no idea how to do their
Precisely.
job. So it's like trying to explain, like nobody has to explain to me if I'm going in for surgery, what they're doing piece by piece. But when you work in the government, you do. So how is it that we make that relatable and understandable and credible so people don't think that we're trying to sell them a bill of goods?
Any way we can do that, I'm in favor of. In fact, maybe this is something, if we agree to it, or if you would want it, you could add to your list on 71 pages. Is an explanation, an ongoing explanation to the town.
I laugh at the 71 pages because, while it is necessary for some entities, and I know that the DOR likes that, I know that the department,
Okay.
the state departments like that. That's a lot of things for people to read that it's not
No.
particularly interesting, right?
No, you asked for things to be added, that possibly be added to
Yeah,
that.
no, I'm writing it down.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there something else that?
I didn't mean to do the 71 pages, don't get me wrong. I meant this topic should be added to the
Okay.
finance. Is there anyone else? Speak up, please.
Yes,
Roy?
Dick, it's Roy. Yeah, a couple
No.
of quick comments and thoughts here. One is, I appreciate the information you presented today. If you could maybe, when you send this to us, use freeze panes so we get the top set of column headings and the side set of counts, frozen so we don't lose those as we look at the numbers. That would be helpful. A second thought is to think about it, are there a few charts and diagrams that would be helpful to some of this? Maybe I'm just thinking out loud here, a process flow for how you get to compute the numbers and then show the numbers in terms of what they are in a chart of those. And the last thought I had here was people are more interested in a number that impacts them, all right, rather than the big numbers that impact the whole town. Could we do something that might relate this to the taxes on an average home? We might use, for example, I don't know, the 3,233,544 number and say where that could, does relate to what is that in terms of the tax impact on an average house? It might make your taxes go up or down by this much. It may not be applicable to all these numbers, but if something we could do to help people understand how it impacts them specifically, that might get a little more interest and help them understand a little bit better.
Okay, well, these are presentation questions. Very good, Roy. But the first question is, I think that Kate was asking is, should we do something like this and would it be helpful? I'd like to get your
Yeah, I would say
definition
yes.
of whether
That
you
would be
think it'd be
helpful.
helpful.
That would be helpful.
Kate, does that give you enough confidence to move forward?
Yeah. I think I have a few ideas that I'll run past Cheryl should she wish to come to work tomorrow and not tell me she's done. And maybe we can give you a sort of a soft opening of that on the next meeting.
That
Because
would
again,
be good.
I don't like the notion that people think that they were duped or that they can't trust the people that
Right.
are in their roles, and yet you know, to some degree, I don't know how to fix that problem because I don't teach it. And I've only learned it, even though I did go to school for this and Cheryl went to school for this, you know, from doing it this many years. So, you know, I'm failing at being able to teach, how we got here. So I don't know, you know.
Well, when you're showing the finance committee something we haven't seen before, you're educating us. So.
Well, then it's a win. We'll take it.
Yes. So don't be upset by this. This is a step forward, and is there any more discussion, or we just let Kate go forward on this? I guess that means go forward, Kate.
Okay. Cheryl, if you call in sick, I'm gonna know.
Is there anything else on this whole category of, Cheryl, thank you for such great information to us. I think that's extremely helpful. Thank you for doing it and presenting it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anything else? I don't hear anything. I'll
The
move
only one-
forward to the
Vic,
next.
it's Roy.
Yes, go
The quick
forward.
thing I would add is, could you make sure I get added to the distribution list for FinCom?
You are on the
Actually,
distribution
to
list.
to interrupt there with the distribution list, I did check my email and I didn't receive any of those emails either. So I don't know if there's some sort of error with that distribution list in the
Then I'll
system.
just individually send it to each of you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Also, I don't think we need a vote on this, and I'll bring it up. As far as our liaison list, for the time being, I think if we simply put Roy's name in place of Michelle, so that if anyone wants to know who to contact, and if Roy wants to know who he's responsible for, that list exists, and publish it again, please. Is that something that can be done, Cheryl?
Yes.
Okay, just so we get it and get no misinformation. All right, anything else, gentlemen? I will move on then to the next meeting date. I would suggest either June 18th or June 25th. They're both Tuesdays. They're a month from now, a little less than a month from now, but does anyone have a date that they prefer or cannot make, it being vacation season?
I cannot make the 18th.
Who was that?
Jocelyn?
Emily, sorry.
Oh, Emily, sorry.
Was that Emily? Can't make the 18th? Does that mean you can make the 25th?
I can make the 25th. Yes, correct.
Okay, is there anyone else who has a problem with either of these dates?
Those are June dates, Dick?
Those are June dates, yes.
No, I'm good for 25.
All right, then let's just, subject to change under need, schedule our next meeting for Tuesday, June 25th at 6:15 p.m. I'll go through the list. Jocelyn's no longer with us. Emily, is that approved?
That sounds good.
Stan,
Yes, sir. That's good.
Rory,
Yes,
and I am good with it. Is there any old or new business anyone wish to bring up, even though it's not on the agenda? I will accept it. Even though I shouldn't, I would accept it. Okay. Then I will accept a motion for adjournment.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
second
Was that seconded? Okay, let's
by
go.
by Roy.
Okay, Emily,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Roy,
Yes,
and Dick, yes. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Kate and Cheryl and Michelle. We miss you. Good luck on everything else. All right, good night all.
Thank you.
Thank you.